Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming. You're helping me because this is. I don't think I'm going to get it today, but that's fine. I need to record a video, and then I'm done with certification. The class starts on Monday. This is all I've got left to do. I've already done the material. I've already passed the test because they had the last class. So we're going to do a number of poses. You're going to want for the first few poses. We're going to be laying on the ground a bit. So, and two things. We're going to be laying on the ground here and also against the wall. All right. So we'll eventually move over to here, but for right now, if you wouldn't mind, let's stay from the blue to up here, just because it's recording that. These mats are all for you. Everything up here is stuff that you may choose or not choose to use. I don't think we're going to need a lot of it, but these, by the way, I use all this stuff myself when I'm doing these poses. I'm going to grab a few more things here. Yeah, just approximately. Yes. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of quick points before we get started. There are, Johnny, I would say, and for both of you, that you might be laying down. Take two. Oops. There you go. Oh, I've got this. Hang on. Hey, baby girl, get off that. Get off that, sweetie. Yeah. So right now, like, has about like this for now, and then eventually we're going to be using the wall to do some of the poses. We may have trouble with that, but we'll see. Now you're going to be mostly around where you're at, so you're not going to be staying. You're going to be pretty much sticking to your mat for the most part. Okay. So we're going to start, and as we start, I'm going to be taking you through. I'll be reciting the ideas and the principles. I'll just say there's three important things. There's really four important things that I want you to remember. Okay. Step one, and one last thing. What we're doing is as much or maybe more about programming your nervous system as anything. Okay. We're going to be doing things that are uncomfortable. That's the point. It should feel uncomfortable. But if you're doing something uncomfortable and then you breathe in a certain way, you're telling your body, basically your reflexes are like, no, and you are using your executive function. It's okay. All right. So to do that, we're going to use 4-8 breathing. So let's practice some breathing. We're going to in our nose to a count of 4, preferably out your mouth to a count of 8. But if you don't like breathing out your mouth, that's fine. But one thing, put your tongue, all right, where it was like right here, as you breathe out, and you want to go in and 4. So I'm going to count you through this. Okay, ready? In, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do a couple more. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another thing you can do is really, on that 8, I actually push my diaphragm in to get the rest of the air out. This is going to, so what happens when you breathe in, your heart rate goes up a little bit. When you breathe out, your heart rate goes down a little bit. So you're calming your system down. Your muscles don't want to stretch. You're saying it's okay, and then the muscles relax. We're going to go into our first pose. We're going to do ragdoll. Now, where's my timer? Here's my timer. The key to these poses is time under passive resistance. Time under passive resistance. So for ragdoll, we're going to lean forward and simply hold. Now, you might do this, but you want to just be a wet noodle, all right? So I'm going to start a 2-minute timer. If you have trouble leaning over, a little trick, if you can't lean forward for whatever reason because you're tight, do this, and then eventually move your legs closer. But if you can just bend over like that comfortably. Okay, so actually, if you feel any pinching in your lower back, bend your knees to stop it. Again, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's what it feels, and we want to feel our back spine stretching. So go ahead and lean over. So 3 principles. 1 principle, wet noodle. You want the muscles to be as relaxed as possible. You want all muscles relaxed if possible, but it's going to be impossible sometimes. And so we'll talk about how to deal with that in other poses. Second thing, time under passive resistance. Time under passive resistance. You're going to be feeling like you're straining. Again, if you have pain in your lower back, bend your knees and bend over, okay? Time under passive pressure. 4-8 breathing. Breathe to relax. You are taking this is meditative for me. You are taking the time to tell your mind it's okay. It's okay. All right? So 4-8 breathing, wet noodle. You'll be tempted to pull. If one part of your body is pulling, that's yang. You want your body to be yin. So as much as possible, passive. And you can bend the heck out of your knees. It's how it feels, hopefully on your back, not how it looks. Don't worry about anybody else. If you have to come out, that's fine. Generally speaking, you want to stay in. So Johnny, you might want to try putting your butt against, so use the wall as support, or even that table, just so that you're not, and even bend your knees, and then you can hold it like this. And then if you can relax, you might feel some extension in your cervical spine or your thoracic spine. Okay, now to come out of this, put your hands on your knees and push with your arms. Now we've only done this for 2 minutes, but keep pushing yourself up. In all of these poses, some of these poses, it takes me 30, 40 seconds to get out of them because I've gone too far, or not too far. So remember, take your time, and whatever muscle you're using, don't use that muscle to get out, okay? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The purpose of this is flexibility. So get out of it in any way you can. So in fact, here's what I do. I'm here. I literally do this, but I also hold it for 5 minutes. So when you start holding for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you want to work up to 5 minutes, and really it takes about 2 minutes to get the sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system calmed down. So 2 minutes, okay? All right. Now, again, here are the things. Now, the next one is going to be a bit of a pain because we want to find some wall space. So pull up to the wall. Let me show you what we're going to do. And then we're going to be right against the wall. And then you're going to reach up however you want, hands wide, and then relax into your shoulders. All right? This is an intense pose. This is one of those poses where the first time I did it, I had issues in my tissues. All right? And at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I popped out, and I was like, yeah. All right? Remember, if you need to get out, pull out of the pose. So come on up to the wall. I know this is a bit awkward. And you can also, do not use that doorway. That's a spot you could use right there. How's about this? Actually, pull that back for a second. Okay, that's fine. We'll see how that works. This room is a bit awkward for this. I've been wondering how to do this pose in here. Now, if you cannot reach your arms above your shoulders, ask me. I'll give you a couple pillows. You can start with pillows under your chest. Okay, so remember, put your head up against the wall. And Liz, actually, but don't use that door because that door will fly open. I guess we could lock it. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so what you're going to do, your head's against the wall. You're going to reach up as far enough up, hands pointing straight up. Your elbows, you should not be putting any pressure on your elbows at all. And we're going to start, reach up a little bit higher. You want to have it so that your chest is being pulled down. Ripley, come here. Ripley, come on. You want it, so everyone on the wall, higher. You need to actually have your hands at least another foot higher. Higher, up, up, up. Keep going. Now, if you cannot, here, try putting a couple of things under your chest. So higher, even higher. So here, okay, everyone, tell you what, pause for a second, pause. We'll start the timer over. Let me show you again. Okay, so what we're doing is we're actually reaching up so that we're trying to get an arch like this, but this is a passive back bend. So I'm here, I reach up high. So I'm on the third brick. This is good enough. And then relax your chest into the ground, your sternum. Okay, I'll start the timer again. Let's try that. And David, I think you might need something under your chest to help you. So here, lift up for a second. Let's put it under your chest. And then reach up from where. Okay. This is a hard pose. This is an intense pose. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your sternum to sort of curve forward. So if you're feeling it in your lower back, one thing, try actually, instead of pointing your toes, try making them flat. All right, that might help. That's one thing you can do. Another thing is, let me think, try pushing your sternum forward. I'm getting good feedback from y'all. This is a hard pose. This is one of my favorite poses. I love this pose. Last night I hung out my back was a bit stiff, and I hung out in this for 5 minutes to relax my back. No, that's fine. Here's the thing. We're learning how to do something. This is hard. This is difficult. This is new. But when you can start to do this, it is amazing, at least for me. But the next pose is going to be a nice relaxer on the shoulders. Hey, Ripley, come here. Ripley. Ripley obviously can't be here, but yeah. Come on, baby girl. Okay, now I'll tell you what. Most of you have come out, so let's go ahead and pull out of it. That's fine. Again, this is an intense pose. When you're in this pose, I will show you one thing. I'm going to show you how I get out of this pose. So if, like, for example, you were in it, Liz, right? When you get into this pose, what happens is your muscles are getting so used that there's nothing there. I mean, you're not hurting your muscles, but there's no strength. So to get out of this pose after I've been in it for 2 minutes, I'm here, hands are up, and then I do this. I push with my diaphragm like this, and then that allows me to, and I really, when I'm doing this for real, I have to do this. Slide my hands down, and then I can finally do this, and then I rest my head like this, okay? All right, now the next one is much nicer. Actually, keep where your mats are and face in towards me, okay? We're gonna do pretzel arms. So for pretzel arms, you're gonna lay on your stomach, so lay prone. You're on your stomach, okay? And what you're gonna do is, you're going to take, let's take the left hand in front of the right hand. Your hands are crossed, and then you're gonna sneak out to the left and sneak out to the right. And then set your chin here and just relax. This is hopefully stretching between your shoulder blades. All right, so put your knee on your arms and just relax into it. Okay, so we're like this, stretch out. Ripley, come on, baby girl, leave people alone. Here, come here, come here. Stay here, baby girl. You will not be able to be here for yoga. I kind of knew this. Ripley, no ma'am, Ripley, come here. Ripley, come here. No, thank you, I love you, but you cannot do that, no. Okay. So try to get your chin pushing your arm. Chin is on the arm, pushing it down. All right. No, we're going to switch arms. Yeah. This is. Thank you, Liz. That's a great question. This is an asymmetrical pose because one arm is front of the other. So we will do this pose twice, one in front and the other. Good girl, Ripley. Hopefully, you're feeling this between your shoulder blades. If this is too much, then what you might do instead is you might put something under your chest so that it's not as intense. Also, I find it took me quite a time for me to be able to breathe because I'm using my chin to push into my arms. So I just got a nice little, what was that? Just straight down. So I'm here. Mm-hmm. Ripley. No, ma'am. Well, yeah, okay. Well, if it's okay, I guess. Again, we're just sort of practicing and learning, so that's cool. Okay, so we've got about 10 seconds left. For this one, probably you're going to want to push with your diaphragm so you get a little bit of pressure off your arms and then slowly pull your arms out. But we've got about 7 seconds left, okay? Yeah. Okay, okay. So go ahead and lift up and go ahead and just for a second, maybe just put your elbows on the ground and just sort of take a few breaths to sort of relax. Now, our left arm was in front, so this time we're going to do the same thing. So take your right arm. I guess, yeah, my right arm was in front. Do the other arm. You know I have trouble with right and left. So again, cross them, and then use your fingers to snake out, snake out, snake out, sneak, 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 and then put your chin on your arms. So remember your breathing, 4-8 breathing. Just try to melt your body into your mat. Hopefully you're feeling a nice stretch between your shoulder blades. Passive tension over time. So what's going on is there are these fibers in your muscles called sarcomeres. They're kind of like fabric. And when you relax into it, those sarcomeres eventually extend. And if you manage to do that, though I've personally experienced, that flexibility doesn't go away for a long time, months, years. So this is a way to permanently extend the muscles that you have and make them more flexible. That's yin. The yang part is you build more muscles, you build more sarcomeres. So you need to do strength and other dynamic exercises. Also, just a couple other points. This kind of stuff should be done last. Your muscles will be destabilized. So do the hard stuff yang first, and then you do this. And if you do this in the morning, do not do anything terribly aggressive for at least a couple hours. For example, it's okay to do resistance training with your body, push-ups or whatever, if it feels okay. It may not feel okay, but don't use weights. Okay, and we're ready to come out. And now, let's go ahead and get up just onto your knees. We'll just do this for a few seconds. Just sort of remember the Phoenix shoulders we did earlier? Just sort of do something like this and just do it loosely. What we're doing is just sort of stretch your body, stretch your shoulders, and see how you feel, and try to integrate that into your body. Okay, now guess what? I'm going to skip the next pose because we do not have the right material for this. It's another really good stretch, but for right now, we need different equipment. So what we're going to do is we're going to do hero pose. Okay, right now this is a good form of hero pose. A couple things before you go into this. One thing is If you can get your butt on your heels, then spread your feet apart and let your butt go down. A lot of people in this pose want to, as soon as they start doing this, they start going backwards. Don't fall back unless you are able to get your butt squarely on the ground. If I do this for 5 minutes, after about a minute and a half, I can start to go back, but I can't go all the way back. So again, knees together. This is fine on your heels, but if you can, separate your feet, let your butt go down, and we're gonna hold this for 2 minutes. Okay, are you ready to go? And here we go. This is a real good stretch in the knees. Okay, so then don't do that. Yeah. So what's your okay? So the thing is, if you like, for I have a messed up C4, so there are a number of poses where the recommendation is to do this or to do this. I can't do that. I mean, I can do it, but if I do it after about a couple of minutes, I'll have a migraine. So I don't do that. But again, if your butt's on the ground, it's okay to go back. But right now, my butt's not on the ground. So what I would do, so Mike, if you can go back, put your hands, fingers pointing forward, and just hold it. If you start to feel anything in your lower back, come out. Don't stay back. All right. I yeah. This is amazing. Now I'm going to warn you. We're not getting out yet. But when I come out of this, again, if 2 minutes, you're probably going to feel it. At 5 minutes, you definitely feel it. The first thing I do is I just that's about as much as I do because that little bit of release allows a lot of release of the tension. So this is hopefully building up and strengthening your knees. Okay, so that could okay. So a couple things. I'm glad you brought this up. So there's two kinds of pain. There's either stabby pain or not stabby pain, or more importantly, if it's area pain, it's probably okay. It's called pressure pain. In some of these poses, you're going to feel pressure pain on your knees. It's going to feel weird. If it's on a joint, yeah, yeah, and that's so what you're doing is you're stretching muscles that you don't normally stretch. Okay, time up. So again, to get out of this, push up a little bit and see if you get some release, and then I very slowly allow myself to come out of it. And then for me, I like to put my hands on the ground like on a tabletop, and I just simply push a leg back to sort of just say, "Hello, knee. We're back to normal. It's okay. Systems returning to normal." All right. So the next thing we're going to do is wide dog. Now, wide dog. I should have done this before. I'm unprepared. I don't know if we're going to. What I want you to do is find a flat surface. Now, let me show you two versions of this pose first. So wide dog. You start in a down dog. And again, you may need to skip this one. You start in a wide dog, start down dog, and then you bring your feet back. Okay, so this is called a short dog. You want to make it so you can easily keep your heels on the ground. Then you go much wider than your mat, and you go into it. Now, that's a bit wide. The problem I have with this is my shoulders are tight. I can stay there for 5 minutes, but I feel it all down the backs of my legs. This one is trying to target. So the way I adjust is I add, this is a bit tall, but this might actually work. Same thing. And then I keep sliding, oh, right there. I've got the blades between my shoulders are stretching down. That feels really good. So that's what we're trying to do. If you can feel it, if you can feel it in your, let's see, thoracic area between your shoulder blades, then you've targeted the right place. So let's go ahead and try to do that. And again, that table's good. So what you're trying, may I touch the back of your shoulders? What you're trying to do is you're trying to get it so you feel it right here. So you want your weight, I end up bringing my weight further back a little bit, right? Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the timer. And So Mike, are you feeling it in your, are you feeling it in your shoulders there? Okay, okay. So again, you might need to use a table to do this. I did this pose this way on the floor for 2 years. I got the backs of my legs very nicely stretched. And then I saw a modification to this pose that Lucas teaches in the training course. And that in about 20 minutes of doing this pose, I was able to engage my pelvic floor. Mhm. Okay, so we don't want, okay, so I'm glad you said that, Mike. This is not yoga. All right, we are not doing yoga. We are doing deep flexibility training using yoga stretches. You want your heels on the ground, and in general, you want to lock your bones. So, yeah, okay, this is a passive stretch. May I touch your back? Do you feel it here? Okay, you're basically releasing the muscles here, so you're loosening your thoracic spine. 5 minutes, or sorry, 2 minutes under passive hold. And what that will do is it will really help, like, for example, grabbing between your back, right? But again, remember, heels on the ground. Now, why heels on the ground? Why legs locked out? Again, we are using yoga poses. We are not doing yoga. I love yoga. You should do yoga, and yoga is yang. It's not yin. We are trying to program our parasympathetic nervous system. If you have part of your body engaged, heels up, elbows bent, your body's not going to be able to relax. Okay, so go ahead and drop down and come on out of it. So this sounds subtle, and I know it's weird. We are not doing yoga. I love yoga, practice yoga. In fact, do yoga, then do this. This is different. This is not yin yoga. This is a deep flexibility technique. And the idea is you want to relax your entire body and let gravity do the work. So we find a way to allow gravity to do the work, because here's what happens. Have any of you ever done indoor rock climbing? Okay, indoor rock climbing or sport climbing. Okay, so here's just an idea, and you might already know this. The micro shift in your micro bend in your elbow engages everything, doesn't it? It turns it into a much more intense pose. Okay, so we're trying to get out. So one way to get out of your shoulders, Mike. Actually, this is not flat, so don't do it on this. This is how to do it. Oh my, I've got it right there. I've got it. And then if you hold this for 5 minutes, what happens is those muscles just start to relax. Pop, 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 pop. Okay, so wet noodle. For this, when we're doing this, it's wet noodle. And again, the sarcomeres, they're like fabric. So what happens is when your muscles contract, they do this. When they relax, they do this. If they do this, that's bad. You just tore something. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to convince our nervous system, hey, this is really freaking uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And over time, by the way, this counts as meditation. You are actually really helping your brain as well. So this is as much about as here. Again, it's not that that's wrong or right. It's a technique. Like, for example, if I'm doing yoga and I'm doing, here's down dog, and I've mentioned this before, I've got my elbow creases in, so I've got medial rotation. If I laterally rotate, now this is the opposite of what your friend is telling you. If I laterally rotate, oh, that engages my shoulders. Actually, okay, I guess I'm feeling it between my shoulder blades. The problem is I'm having to engage my arms to make it in my shoulder blades. What happens when you have your muscles engaged? You start to shake. So in these poses, try to use first everything relaxed and balance. If you can't balance, lock. I'm actually saying to lock out your joint. So if I'm using my arm to support, I do this because now I'm using the skeletal structure, not my muscles. And you can hold this for 5 minutes. Try to do this for 5 minutes, right? You're not going to do it. It's really going to be hard. Okay. So as much as you've liked those, we're skipping that one. Yep, yep. Okay, this is a nice pose. We're going to do a pose called twister. So on your back, supine on your back. Actually, wait, I'm sorry. Let me show you this really quick and then on your back. So on back, I'm going to take my shoes off here. It's going to be easier. So I'm going to say, take one leg, say the right leg, and put it over the left. If you can do this, this is the minimum pose right here. This is what we're doing. Okay. So we're actually, and we're trying to allow our body to relax with gravity. Most of you probably can't. When I started doing this, I couldn't. If you can lock your foot behind, even better. But don't worry about that. That came after 2 years. Don't care. I was, in fact, when I started this pose, I was here. All right. So then what you do is, hand goes to one side. You would take your, if the right leg is on top, you take the other hand, the left hand, you put it on the outside, and then you slowly twist to the side. And then just hold it. That's it. That's the pose right here. And don't worry if your other shoulder comes off the ground. This is all you're doing. This is a passive twist, and I love this one. So let's go ahead and do this for 2 minutes on each side. So laying on your back, take your right foot and put it over your left leg. Take your left hand and place it on the outside of your right leg, and then pull, 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 and then just sort of rest into that. So whatever leg's on top, so if the right leg's on top, left hand is on the outside of the right leg and you twist to the side. And you use your hand as gravity, don't really pull here. Because when you're here, you'll slowly find that your spine will go pop, pop, pop. I love this one. Remember your breathing, 4-8 breathing, into your nose, out to your mouth. Wet noodle. Everything that can be relaxed is. This is a good time in this pose because it's not too intense as some of the poses we do. You might try to just sort of feel the muscles and see, relax it. Do you find any tension? Are you holding some tension in your opposite shoulder? Try to relax it. Relax all your muscles. Go up and down your body. Find something to relax. When you're going through and sensing your internal state, there's a term for that. It's interoception. Interoception. Sense of your inner state of being. A fun game to play while meditating. Try to feel up your pulse in your body. Can you feel it in your neck? Can you feel it in your wrist? Can you feel it anywhere? And then just feel your pulse. And what I do when I do that, my pulse moves. I can't find it. I'll find it in my neck, and then it will go somewhere else, and I can find it somewhere else. Wet noodle the body, passive resistance or tension over time. Ready to relax. Now, first thing to get, just let your hand go. And then this one's not too hard to get out of, but sometimes with the upper leg, I basically just sort of use the down leg to push it back up. And also, if you hold this for 5 minutes, right now, just lay on your back for a second. Does your right side feel like off the ground compared to your left side? Yeah. So the right side is really stretched, isn't it? It's amazing. So the longer you hold this pose, the slower you need to come out of it. If you come out of this pose fast, you could really hurt your lower back. So come out of these really slow. We're going to do the opposite leg. So if your right leg was on top, let's switch to your left leg. So on your back, put your left leg over your right leg, and then if your left leg's on top, your right hand is on the outside of your left leg, and slowly lean to the side. Lean, lean, lean. And again, if this is painful for you, seems like you can do this. But if you can't do this, one thing you can do is put a pillow under your leg. Oh, I just got a nice pop all the way up in my cervical spine there. I was in this pose and I felt a pinch and I egoed my way through it. My cat, and this has really happened, my cat flopped onto me and I came out of it quickly and I tore the muscle under my right shoulder blade. I stopped doing these poses for 6 months. It hurt that much. It was really bad. Now, I should not have done that. That was probably a bit of an extreme response. So come out of these slow. We're almost time. So remember, first thing, let your hand go and then slowly come back. And honestly, a lot of the skill of these poses is one, learning how to relax into them, but as important too, learning how to get out of them. So you're on your back. So go ahead and come out of the pose slowly. Just put your feet on the flat on the floor, and then let's wash our legs back and forth. So just move your knees very slowly back and forth to sort of just integrate that into the rest of your body. And I like to do both this and then maybe my feet wide and one goes in as the other goes out. Whatever works. This is these kind of, we're doing transition poses between them. These are resets. These are just to sort of get your body ready for the next thing. Okay, now. Yep, that definitely is a, yep. And that's great. When sometimes, so when I do that for 5 minutes, the problem I have with that is that my I guess this would be IT band. I haven't gotten any strength in that leg because it's so stretched. So if you can do that, that's great. Whatever you do to get out of it, just always on all these poses, slow, 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 and you'll help yourself quite a bit. Okay, so now come up to a seated pose. This next one's going to be a challenge. Okay, so before we actually go into it, I'm going to demonstrate it and I'm going to give you some caution because this is one of those places where you're almost certainly going to be feeling pressure in your knees. This one's called blaster. This is a very complicated pose in the sense that you're going to flex one side and stretch the other. It's asymmetrical. So I'm going to show you what the pose looks like. Don't do this yet. So you're going to start on a tabletop. And I'm just going to start with my right leg. So you're going to lift your right leg, swing, swing, swing around, and put it around here to your hand. And then maybe snake it up. Okay? You want your leg either perpendicular or even back. You're going to take your back leg, slide it back, and then you'll feel a huge stretch. So over here, you're extending your left leg on my left leg, and I'm flexing the right leg. So you're getting a complex stretch. This is really good for the groin. Now, this is a good pose, and I'm strongly recommending lock your arms here and then just relax into it. Oh, yeah, that feels really good. So we're going to do this for 2 minutes. I do this for 5 minutes, and when I do this for 5 minutes, it takes me about 30 seconds to safely get out of it. Okay? So I'll talk you through that as we start. Tabletop, hands directly below, and let's take your right leg, lift it, swing it outside. And then use your toes, step, 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 step. Move your foot forward. You can even use your hand to push it. And then slide back on your knee. You want your back leg as straight as possible. Now, some of you are going to need some support for your knee. If you feel pressure in your knee, you want your knee on the ground. And you want preferably, if you can, you want your back foot pointed, plantar flex, pointed. And you want to stretch further back and hold it like so. And eventually, you might be able to go lower and lower. Don't worry about that right now. For the first several months that I did this pose, I got a big old blanket and I stacked it right here and I had it on my chest. So I could just use it to allow me to relax into it. This is a big, big stretch. This is a very complicated stretch. And also, you're dealing with muscles that are very, very, very tight in your body, right? If you can, extend your leg back, and you want to have your back leg as straight as you can. Your knee is going to be on the ground, but you want to make sure you're feeling something on the left side. You want to feel it on the front, and on the right side, you should probably feel it underneath. So you're getting a big old stretch here, big old stretch here. Now I forgot one thing. Take your foot if you want and rotate it out, 10, 20, up to 45 degrees on this one. So for support, you can rotate this other foot out. That will also move the stretch from maybe strictly under to maybe along the inside. Okay, we're about to come out of this one. To come out of this, I actually put my right hand under my right knee, and then I do this. I use that hand to allow my foot to move back without using too much pressure until I can set it on the ground. And then I do this. And then I'm like, why did I do that? Now, have you got a little more time? We should do at least the other side so we're symmetrical. And then the last pose is a beautiful resting pose. Okay, so on the tabletop, left leg out, swing it around, step it up near the hand, step, 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 move it forward, move it forward. Take that back leg and slide it back, and then just relax into your groin. And your calf. Okay, so if you get cramps, so first of all, if you get a cramp, slowly pull out, definitely. A really good pose is ragdoll, the first one we did. If you do that long enough, eventually you'll start to get nice stretches in your calves. I used to have rock solid calves because I used to do amazing amounts of stair stepping. And that's a really good pose, the ragdoll. Again, your front foot, you want to maybe rotate it out 10, 15, up to 45 degrees. This pose will actually greatly improve your ability to empty step in Tai Chi, rotate your hips, and shift your weight. And if you're swearing my name in your head, believe me, it's worth it. So what we're doing is, look, as adults, we're always going to have pain. So what you're doing is you're paying down your future pain by doing discomfort now, training your body. My personal experience in my body is before I started doing this stuff, my back was crap. I was always doing stuff to try to make my back feel better. After a couple weeks of doing this stuff, that's kind of stopped happening. My body feels lighter, just my hips, my joints. This is just amazing stuff. Also, you're stimulating your immune system. This is so good for your body because it hurts. Okay, now go ahead and come out of it. If you need to, take the front leg is left, so put your left elbow under it with your arm locked, and then use that to sort of help you get your weight out. Okay, last pose. I would normally do bound butterfly, but we haven't got enough straps. So we're just going to do a butterfly pose. Now, butterfly, I'm going to show you this. I cannot do this. I cannot put, well, actually, maybe I can do this on this floor. So you're going to put your feet together like this. For this pose, because we want to hold it for a long time, you want to go further out. So 1, 2, 3. I've got 3.5, 4 fists. Okay. Now, if your knees sort of are naturally aren't too high, actually most of you are in pretty good shape. You want to lean forward and then relax. Problem is, you might find this is really tight in your back. So a couple things: look forward. That's one thing. Another thing, we were just talking about the second bow in Tai Chi. Push the fontanelle up a little bit and look forward. And then allow your arms to either relax and just hold this for a while. If you still have trouble with your lower back, these things are really good. You take a pillow or two, put it under your butt, or a block. So put a block here, feet together. The whole purpose of the block is I can now lean forward much easier. The nice thing about a pillow is if you bend it, it pushes you in the right direction. Would you like a pillow anyway? Okay, so we're going to hold this one for 2 minutes and just relax. I like to lock my arms like this and just let the weight pull forward. Sometimes I'll do this, and what that does is, I don't do this for very long, but it's actually, notice it's pulling my back forward. And remember, to help with the lower back, look forward, push the fontanelle up, look forward. Hands up. You're going to be tempted to like, oh, I'm going to pull and make this deeper. Let gravity do the work. If you're working, you're giving different signals to your brain. I'm working and I'm relaxing. Which is it? So relax, wet noodle. Breathe. 4-8 breathing. Passive tension over time. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters how it feels. So if we were in an Iyengar studio, we would be harshly judged for how we look. But we're not doing yoga. It looks like we're doing yoga. We are using yoga poses for deep flexibility. So same idea, but different intent. And that's important. We're setting a different intention, and so we want to act congruently with that different intention. If it doesn't hurt, you can go ahead and just let your neck relax forward. I don't do that because, again, my C4 is worn down. Interestingly, I'm getting a cramp in my right calf because of the height of the brick. So I'm going to come out of it and go back into it. So we prefer to stay in the pose rather than doing reps. If you can't stay in the pose, go out and come back in. But here's the thing. You're defeating the time part because you're kind of resetting your body. And so if you want the parasympathetic nervous response, you need to hold the pose and let gravity do the work. Okay. Now, to come out, if you need to, I actually will put my hands back and then I sort of push forward. I drizzle my shoulder blades down and I very slowly come back. Okay, so question. We skipped one pose because we didn't have the equipment, and I still haven't figured out how to do that one. But we've just done the whole sequence other than a couple of the transition poses. And the transitions are just sort of to get us from one pose to the next. What does your body feel like? What does your body, what do you, actually, any observations from that, from this experience? Okay, ankle issues. I can show you a pose for that before we go if you'd like. So if you can go if you want. We're pretty much done. But I'll show you a few things you might do. So for ankles, there's a wonderfully terrible pose. It's called pins and needles. I don't know which are the pins and which are the needles. So one thing I'll show you this pose real quick, and then I need some knee support. So you start like this. No, no. Oh, actually, yeah. Thank you. Go ahead, thank you. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on like I'm starting on my shins. I'm going to curl my toes under. All right, curl your toes under, and then sit back. Now, the problem I have with this pose is, first of all, someone had shin issues, right? This stretches the shins. This is so. So what happens is over time I tend to slide forward. So what I found, I like to go up to the wall so that my knees don't slide forward. So this is part of it. The other part is you put your hands behind your back in a prayer pose. Now it takes me a while to do this. So again, I don't know which are the pins and which are the needles. And then hands together in prayer pose behind your back, and then hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hmm? What did you do to me? I know this but this is going to both strengthen your ankles and stretch. Believe it or not, your toes have strength. And guess what? Where do we use our toes in Tai Chi? All the time. So when you're gripping with your feet, this pose is going to help gripping with your feet a whole bunch. Also your ankles. Now, I know you don't want to do this, but if you can, Liz, you want to actually be straight back over the toes. Now, I know it hurts. It hurts. It's awful. It's awful, but hopefully it hurts so good eventually. Okay. So what you might do just to sort of work up to this is you might just sort of do a light version of it for now, and then slowly work your way into it. And you're getting something. You're stretching your feet and your toes, and over time. So notice that over time, I can get up off my toes. That did a bad job. Okay. So then when you're done with this, take just yeah. All right. Hey, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah. And again, you're welcome. Now, if you want, again, list of poses, but video of me doing it, this page, and each one of these is a link to the video. Hey, baby girl. Yes.